Hi, welcome to the 28th video of Old Guys, Gentlemen, Flippers. And what I'll be reviewing today is not a Shirogorov, although I will be bringing this in for comparison purposes, but a Jufule custom neon ceramic ball bearing with D2 blade and titanium handle. It is a Chinese clone. And I guess one of the things that I like about it, first off, is they don't put the bear on there. But in many other instances, this is almost identical to the other knife. Let me tell you some things I like and dislike about this, and then I'll compare it to the Neon Ultralight. First of all, I really like the blue color. They do a really good anodizing job, but they do a really shitty, can I say that? A really terrible finishing job on the handle. They must finish these things and then throw them in a big bucket or something. So I think this is going to be another one of my beaters for experimenting with anodizing. I'm going to pull this apart, which I've done already actually, and refinish this thing and then do my own anodizing. The best thing about this knife is that it's cheap. It was like $60 versus like $700. Oh, by the way, don't get confused by the screws. I just been experimenting, looking at it from both sides. I had to adjust. The flipping action was really good, but the drop, you had to really shake it to get it down. And now the flipping action is a little weak, but the drop is nice. And I can adjust that some more. It's got silicon nitride bearings in a cage, as opposed, I guess I'm comparing stuff already. I'll leave that till later. The steel is D2, which is a decent steel. It's kind of like S30V, but maybe not quite as corrosion resistance. But it's got a hardness rating of somewhere between, I think, 58 and 60. The jimping on this is just a little bit better, a little bit grippier. I mean, some people may say, well, that's a lack of finishing, which might be the case. But both on the flipper and up here, it just grabs a little bit better. I didn't like the fact that it took about 6 weeks to get here, and they actually sent it one post method, and then it had to be returned to do another. As I said before, the flipping is a little on the weak side, but what I did is I pulled this apart, and well, here I'm going to insert a picture here so you can see. So looking at the picture, you can see that they did some extra work here milling out the titanium to make it lighter weight. You see the same thing on the Neon Ultralight, but on the Neon, the work they do there, they did it with attention as if somebody's going to look at it. It's really nice milling job. Here, they just pulled the metal out without regard to how it looked. But for a $60 knife, that's a pretty cool effort. Anyhow, what I did here, and actually this is another positive for this knife, it's got the steel insert here on the lock bar, but here you can remove it. And over here, there's a mystery bond of some sort that holds it in, which you cannot remove. So, if I remember correctly, it's you can't really adjust the attention on this thing because it locks it. So if you wanted to make less tension, you can't really do it on this one. but here you can. So to get the drop the way I wanted it, I basically bent this, and I probably bent it just a little bit too far because the drop is, well, the flipping action is just a little on the weak side, and the drop is a little bit on the fast side, but that's all adjustable. Oh, one big problem with this is, and maybe you see this a little bit when I compare some of the sizes, the tip, it's hard to see here. Well, I guess you can kind of see it right there. I could easily put a groove in my finger right there. Where on the Shirogorov, it's just a little bit deeper. You know, I can still feel it, but not enough that it's going to cut a groove in my finger. So I think what I'm going to have to do on this one is on the what's it called? Workshop grinder. I'm going to have to grind the tip down a little bit. And I've never done that before, so that'll be another kind of experiment. Fit and finish on this thing is not nearly as good as the Shirogorov. Now let's kind of compare the two a little bit. They're really identical in a lot of different ways, and you have to look really closely to see some of the differences. They pulled the curve in here a little bit tighter than they did over here, which left this a little bit thicker. Oh, the blade finish. Hold on. One of the problems with satin finishes is just a little bit of... So that's a satin finish, and it's just kind of, I don't know, a little haphazard. Where in the Shirogorov, it's a nice fine stone wash. So I much prefer this kind of finish. The overall length of this is 194 millimeters, so it's just slightly longer. It's 190 millimeters. Blade length on this is 86, and it should really be about 85, and that's measuring from the tip down to the heel of the blade. Handle length, they're both about 111 millimeters. Hardness, this is S30V, which has a range about 58 to 60 hardness, and this is 59 to 60 on the D2. Weight, this is just slightly lighter, about 0.1 ounce lighter. This is 2.9, this is 3.0. Handle, they say this is TC4 titanium, and all I found on this is just titanium. But in bending the lock bar, well, I guess I can't really compare it because I wasn't able to bend this one. So I can't tell you about comparisons of the titanium material. This has got MRBS, which is like 2 rows of bearings on kind of a fancy steel cage, and it's all loose. And these are silicon nitride bearings in a caged housing, backed up with steel washers against the titanium. Bearing-wise, although this is fancier, and probably a lot more expensive work to do, I think it's overkill on bearings. I think the bearing, both of these, if you take out the lock bar, this thing moves. They both move about the same. So I think these guys could have made it a little bit cheaper by just doing the kind of bearing system that these guys have. So I think that's about it, except to give you my overall impression is that for $60, This is a pretty decent knife. Except for two big flaws is that a knife should not be the point where you can cut grooves in your finger. So that's bad. And I have some $50 knives that have a lot better craftsmanship or professionalism on the finish. But this is definitely a keeper to experiment with. It's a decent knife. It's not going to replace my love of Shirogorovs. I probably will not get another clone if this is evidence of what they do with clones. But it was a worthy $60 investment, I think. But I got to tell you, I have the Neon Ultralight and the 95T, and I just love these guys. So I hope you got some value out of that. Until next time, bye.